On today's episode, we're going to talk about the misconception of emotional suppression, aka the soda can effect. All right, so the struggle is this. Most of us grew up in a space where we heard messages, whether literally or even kind of like subconsciously, as family set the tone. Stop crying, be strong. A lot of times when we're growing up, if you were crying, then it made your parents uncomfortable, so they would tell you to stop so they could be more comfortable. And I want to share something. As I'm saying this, I'm remembering something. So yesterday, my daughter screams at me, and she is not just screaming. She is fucking no filter, like, "Dad, I'm gonna rip you a new asshole" kind of scream, right? And of course, there's a part of me that's like, "Stop it! You don't get to talk to Daddy that way." But what's interesting, and this is the way that I look at it, that's been really helpful, is she's fully expressing herself, whether that is anger or love or whatever that emotion is, because she's unafraid, because there are no consequences. So if she gets, to the state of rage, she feels comfortable to express that with me because I don't hit her. I mean, I might yell back a little bit, but because I'm human. But she doesn't have consequences, right? Unlike many of us who grew up, if we yelled at our parents, we would get, thrown into timeout. We get, a beating on the extreme side. There would be consequences, right? We'd have to go to our room. We were muted in some way. And I think because I don't mute her, she feels comfortable and unafraid. And I was thinking, what a gift. What a gift that when she goes bananas on me, when she expresses rage, she's doing it because it means she's not afraid. And so when I look at it that way, then I'm like just about holding that space instead of allowing my activation to react, because I'm also short tempered. And I mean, I don't know if I could hold that space for anyone else. I mean, it's this 5-year-old girl, and she's, I think, the only person on this planet that I can allow to just, chew my face off, and I'm able to still be kind of calm and okay, right? Anyway, just a tip on how to look at it. And now, listen, the heavy lifting would be to kind of do that with adults, right? Which most of us cannot do. Society has taught us that strong people suppress their emotions, pushing them deep beneath the surface and presenting an unshakable exterior. But emotions aren't meant to be buried alive. Just like shaking a soda can, the pressure keeps building every time you deny or suppress your true feelings. And then eventually that can is going to burst open, right? And that's the soda can effect, usually at the worst possible times, leaving a sticky emotional mess behind. So here's the misconception that emotional suppression equates to strength. That emotional suppression equates to strength, right? Like, you are strong because you're able to suppress. Like, the more you're able to suppress your feelings, like, the stronger you are, That is a misconception. It's also very damaging. It leaves us disconnected with our authentic selves, struggling to maintain an artificial sense of control. See, the problem is suppressed emotions don't disappear. They actually eventually will surface. They intensify. They simmer beneath the surface, manifesting as anxiety, depression, and even physical manifestations. Like, my shoulders get super tense if I'm holding an emotion, I can't breathe, I have anxiety. It manifests physically in our body, and that's a huge sign. Health issues. They also strain relationships because they become eggshells and the energy changes, right? Or the sudden outburst. You stay quiet, you suppress, you suppress, you suppress, and then you go from that to punching walls and throwing chairs. So the reason why emotional suppression doesn't work: accumulated pressure. Each suppressed emotion adds another layer of pressure, leading to eventual emotional overwhelm, right? It compounds. Mental and physical health impact. Chronic emotional suppression can weaken your immune system, increase stress hormones, and contribute to conditions such as high blood pressure, anxiety disorders, and depression. So, when I was talking about relationship strain, and I think it's our responsibility to express our emotions in a healthy way. And it doesn't have to be your partner, it could be to a therapist or however you want to do it, as long as it's healthy, because here's what happens to the relationship. It builds resentment. It creates the container cracks. So, like if your relationship is a container, it creates maybe hairline cracks, right? Um, and it turns the energy, because I was someone who used to suppress a lot, and I've been with people who have suppressed a lot because they didn't grow up in a place where it was safe to express, right? It creates this kind of like pressure cooker, this subtle like pretending, this walking around. People start doing life with around each other instead of with, and at the end of the day, it creates drift. And it's like the frog in the boiling water. I think it's very slow. And I think this is more dangerous and damaging than the obvious, right? Because we let it go, because it's not a big deal, because this is just how people are. One thing I can't do anymore is, if something's not resolved, if the ruptures haven't been repaired, I can't like pretend like everything's okay. Part of it is just a non-negotiable. Part of it is just my body's resistance to sitting in rooms where there's tension. Some people can actually like fight with you, go into the other room, come back and ignore it, like pretend like that fight never happened. And I think that might be their way of coping, right? I cannot do that. I cannot do that. I don't want to do that. It's just not honest, and these are the things that I think puts cracks in our relationship. Okay, so let's talk about some action steps to safely release emotional pressure. One, you got to name it to tame it. I'm sure you've heard that before. It's when emotions rise. Clarity is your first defense. So instead of generalizing with statements like "I feel bad," pause and actually pinpoint precisely what's causing your discomfort. So, for example, I feel overwhelmed because I've taken on too much responsibility. It's really important to be specific, pinpoint. Or I feel hurt because I wasn't acknowledged. This method engages the logical parts of your brain, reduces emotional intensity, and fosters healthier emotional management. Another tip: allow a sad song break. I know it sounds like high school. Society often teaches us that crying or feeling sad equates to weakness, but see it as a release. The opposite is true. Allowing yourself space to genuinely experience sadness is a courageous act of self-care. Oh, let me say that again, because I also need this reminder. Allowing space to genuinely express sadness or any feeling that's honest is a courageous act of self-care. It is you building a better relationship with you. It's you taking care of you. Create a playlist of sad songs or songs that resonate with your current emotional state. Put in your headphones, go for a walk, allow yourself to genuinely feel. You've heard that term, you got to feel your way through it. It is absolutely true. It is a somatic body experience. It isn't a logical thing. You're not filing feelings away. You are actually allowing yourself to feel, and that's how feelings pass through you. Cry if needed. Let the tears come. This controlled emotional release is therapeutic, soothing your nervous system and helping you process difficult feelings. Think of it as an emotional detox, cleansing and revitalizing your emotional health. Here's a real life example, a lesson I recently learned. I was at a friend's house who was letting us stay there because our house burned down, and I think I was in a lot of fight or flight as far as the emotions I had about our house burning down. And, I went toward the silver linings, and I was very optimistic and hopeful. And we surrounded ourselves with people we loved, so we weren't alone. But there was a moment. I was at my friend's house. He let us use the house for me to run a men's group. All the guys were going home. And one of the men said something about, like, oh, I got to get back home. And, and then right after he said that, I just, out of nowhere, started sobbing uncontrollably. It was almost like I was possessed. It's like I started crying, and then I've never. The only time I've cried this hard was when my dad died. I got on at the funeral. I was supposed to speak, and I was trying to be funny and sarcastic. I didn't think I was going to cry. I couldn't even get through the speech because I was shaking and sobbing. And it was my body needing it. You know, it was, a month into our house burning down, and I think I cried on the day of seeing my house burn down, of course. But after that, I did not shed any tears. And I don't know if I was suppressing. I don't know. But holy shit, that day, I cried so hard. I had to pull my wife in, and I needed her to hold me because I was going to fall over. I was crying so hard, and it was the first time I felt in my body, oh, this isn't just sadness. This is my body releasing. It felt like my body needed to release something, and it wasn't going to let anything stand in the way of that. I mean, I needed my permission to do so, and once I gave it permission, it was just it was like such an exhale. So yeah, that happened recently, which is probably why I'm talking about this. Is why I'm reminding you the importance of allowing yourself to feel things and to release. As I release breath, because I forget to breathe. All right, express emotions physically, and this is why a lot of people do yoga. This is why a lot of people do fitness, go on walks, whatever your thing is. Whether you want to pick up a surfboard or rub one out. I'm serious. Or, your body naturally stores emotional tension. Without release, that tension accumulates and negatively impacts your physical and mental well-being. So engaging in physical expression of emotion can be profoundly healing. Um, some effective physical outlets may include. So here are some kind of like obvious journaling. As a writer, I'm always gonna encourage you to journal. I've been journaling via audio, meaning I've been like what I'm doing right now in a way is kind of like talking about or letting out what I feel. This is self-expression. This is my release in a way, right? But journaling, write out exactly what you're feeling and don't censor yourself. What you're doing, you're taking what is inside and giving it permission to come out. And you got to write like no one's going to read it, and just let your emotions pour on the page. Do not judge your writing. You're not like writing a memoir. You are using writing as a conduit to release. Journaling helps externalize your inner world, making complex emotions feel more manageable. Physical activity, like I said, go for a run, take a vigorous walk, hit a punching bag, um, join a dance class. Hey, if you know how to break dance, I still have that muscle memory from the 80s. Do some backspins, some windmills. Physical exertion can significantly reduce emotional stress by releasing built up adrenaline and stress hormones. Hey, this is I just had this thought. This is why makeup sex I think is so satisfying for people is all that emotional like the right after the fight. Well, obviously if you're having makeup sex, you've already kind of talked about it. You guys are making up, but all that emotional release coming out, sexually and intimately, but you can feel that passion. That's a manifestation of emotions coming out more so than attraction. Creative expression. This is one of my favorites: painting, drawing, sculpting, writing, making videos. However you creatively express yourself, giving yourself permission to create that space for you. Maybe playing music, I wish I could play a musical instrument. I have absolutely zero musical talents. But yeah, that's a very powerful emotional release. Creativity allows your emotions to flow naturally in a constructive and healing manner. Um, I want to end with this: embracing emotional health, because that's what we're talking about at the end of the day, right? Learning to release emotions healthy rather than suppressing them is not about weakness. It's not about weakness. Remind yourself, we have been raised to believe that it is. It's about developing emotional intelligence, resilience, and authenticity. You become stronger and more balanced when you embrace rather than deny your emotional landscape. Just like the slowly and carefully releasing pressure from a soda can, these healthy outlets ensure that your emotions don't explode unexpectedly, but are acknowledged, understood, and managed constructively. Hey, you know where this shit explodes unexpectedly in Los Angeles? When you're in your car. People with road rage. I get road rage because I lose patience, but when people are like trying to kill each other and pull out guns and literally getting out of their cars and fighting, there's other stuff going on, man. These are people who have suppressed, who are not happy, and someone cutting them off is just like that's the straw that broke the camel's back, right? Remember, feeling deeply isn't a flaw. It's part of the richness of being human. When emotions arise, give yourself permission to experience, express, and release them. This practice leads to emotional freedom, stronger relationships, and ultimately a healthier, happy life. Thank you for listening. Be well.